Save login, register or subscribe to save articles for later. Normal text size, larger text size, very large text size. Tony Lockett is thrilled one of the most exclusive of groups in the game will finally have another member. More than 25 years after Gary Ablett booted his 1,000th goal, Lance Franklin is 5 goals away from becoming only the 6th man to reach the magical milestone. Forward power, Tony Lockett with Lance Franklin in 2017. It's a massive honor for him and a great effort, Lockett said. He deserves it. It's fantastic. We wish him all the best, be sure it's a great thrill, and I'm sure he's looking forward to it. We look forward to watching him kick the 1,000. Few dare rule out a 7th inductee, if only because you never say never, but, as the man known universally as Plugger says, I think it will be a while before it happens again. So, how has Franklin, a player described by some as not a true full forward, who is not a clean overhead mark and can't kick on his right boot, overcome these deficiencies to stand on the verge of 1,000 goals? And how has he defied the trends of the defensive modern era and survived the physical battering a key forward takes each week to become one of the greats? Raden Ted Richards, both a former opponent and teammate of Franklin, has a simple answer. Franklin's strengths are so much better than those of his rivals that they compensate for his flaws. Take his marking, for example overhead. Franklin is not a one-grabber, which gives his defender extra time to spoil if they have the speed to get close enough. The reality is he's so quick off the mark often, he has time to take the 2 grabs, because he's pushed off 5 meters from you and has the luxury of doing that, Richards explains. The alternative, to play Franklin from in front, is fraught, as it concedes the space on the goal side of the contest to a player few back men can match for speed. Richards' plan was one of harm minimization. He accepted Franklin, as a forward in a strong Hawthorne side, would get plenty of opportunities, so he aimed to make sure the ball would not get to dangerous areas. Except, as this graphic showing where each of his 995 goals was kicked from illustrates, there are few parts of the ground where Franklin cannot impact the game. He can score from outside 50, deep in pockets and from the boundary. High up the field, he becomes a 360-degree player. Give up front spot and Franklin can take an uncontested lead-up mark, then wheel on his left foot and open up targets not available to those without his kicking penetration. Play him from in front, and you run the considerable risk of being turned inside out by his ability to do a 180-degree turn and lose his opponent in traffic, which former Sydney, Western Bulldogs, and Gold Coast coach Rodney Eade said is an underrated S. Defenders have become the fall guys in Franklin's highlight reel. Think of retired Essendon defender Cale Hooker, an All-Australian and club best and fairest winner, who was famously left in Franklin's dust in 2010, and former Crow Daniel Talia in 2017. You can watch some of those goals here. The ultra-defensive strategies of the modern game have both helped and hindered Franklin. They have not curtailed his prowess, as his athleticism allows him to both lead at the player with the ball and with the flight of the ball. When he's played some of his best footy with us, he's been up the ground, 40 to 70 meters out, and he's able to use the full 360 degrees, Swans coach John Longmire said. He's able to run at the ball, he's able to turn, go sideways, and the defender, whether he plays front or behind, he has to make the decision. Richards was more comfortable when Franklin took him to a wing and accepted kicks out of defense, but, as the 2012 Grand Final showed, his scoring range is further than any other. There was one ball, he was 70 out, but you'd rather him having a shot from 60 out than 30 or 40, Richards said. You're probably happy if he finishes the game with 20-something disposals because he's pushed so far into the midfield, but you wouldn't be happy if he's had half those disposals, but 5 goals. Though every player in the league would know to guard Franklin's left side, he still finds a way to get onto his preferred foot. In the 9 seasons Longmire has coached Franklin, he cannot recall his superstar forward kicking on his right foot. That's not to say he hasn't done it, Longmire said. He has elite footwork and elite balance, which allows him to get back to where he needs to go. Franklin, the competitor, as freakishly gifted as he is, Franklin's work ethic, toughness, and football nous are undervalued. In 2020, he entered the dreaded hub despite having been ruled out for the season, so he could provide moral support to his teammates and complete the meticulous training program the Swans had designed for him. That dedication helps explain how Franklin, 35, has overcome the bumps and bruises that come from having multiple opponents jump into him in marking contests, to play into the 9th and final year of his mega deal. That deal shocked the football world after Hawthorne's 2013 flag, when powerhouse Sydney blindsided the AFL and expansion club Greater Western Sydney, who had made Franklin an offer, by signing him to a 9-year, $10 million contract. Few outside the Swans thought he would make it through the contract. Then Deputy League CEO Gillon McLachlan said the Swans were taking an extraordinary risk.